Maintaining ThermoWood cladding is purely a personal preference. It's not something you need to do to maintain its lifespan. It's purely cosmetic. The only thing you would maybe want to consider is cleaning the boards periodically, especially if they're near the ground. If they get splashed with mud or something, you might want to clean those. Again, just use a jet wash or even a hose. The only other thing you would do would be to oil the surface to prevent the timber from going grey. But the thing to remember with hardwoods, or certainly thermally modified hardwoods, is that they'll go a nice bleached white or a silvery colour, and they have quite a nice grain structure, so they don't become unattractive like you would on a garden fence, which is a cheap softwood with black knots. So they are the advantages by having a thermally modified hardwood as a cladding. You don't actually need to do it, you can just put it up and leave it. It's purely down to whether you want to hang on to the colour of that timber as the UV sun tries to fade that timber. If you're not bothered about that, then just let it fade to a silvery grey, and the grain structure will enhance the look of it, and it'll be perfectly fine. All timber at some point will fade. Some fade to a silvery grey, some fade quicker than others. Generally a lighter coloured timber will take a lot longer to fade than a darker coloured timber, but at some point they will go, and all that is the UV oxidising the surface of the timber. If you scratch that surface, you would find that the colour would be underneath it. So it's certainly not something you need to worry about in terms of durability. It's purely aesthetics. Durability has nothing to do with the weathering of the timber. If the timber is a decent quality, then the weathering is just purely, as I say, the oxidation on the surface. It does not mean that the timber is going to deteriorate and fall apart. For us as a business, once the cladding is machined, all the defects are removed. The boards are then stacked, packed or packaged. They're photographed. Our quality manager makes sure that there are no damages or anything. If there are damages present, then they're removed and replaced, so that when you receive your material, it's in the perfect condition that it needs to be in, and that's how you should receive all your material. Timber cladding lasts as good as the project in terms of its build. It's going to last. You're going to get a good 30 years worth of lifespan out of a hardwood cladding project. Softwood would be slightly less, but again it's down to the exposure. If it's on the coast and it's constantly being battered by salt water, for example, or salt spray, then the timber will bleach to a white colour, white silvery colour, but it will still have, if it's been properly constructed, it will still have a good lifespan. You can apply all sorts of finishes to cladding. For example, we have a thermochar range, which is a heavy charred, different char finishes on the project. We also have an atelier range, which has different colour-coated finishes. So yes, you can apply that, but it's all down to the type of material you use. If you use a cheap softwood, for example, that expands and contracts, then you're going to have more issues going forward with a painted surface, because the paint won't move with the timber. So therefore the paint will start to crack after a period of time because it can't cope with the movement. So the most important thing in this country is to have a very stable and durable timber. Durability comes with that automatically, but the most important thing is having a timber a cladding board that is very stable and is not going to expand and contract and twist and warp, because that will give you the opportunity to have a painted surface and a board that will last a long time.